Hey guys, FilmCrazyAdam here, and I'm about to go see Age of Ultron, or Avengers Age of Ultron, or Avengers 2, whatever you want to call it. I'm about to go see it. And to say that, I'm excited might be a little bit of an understatement. It's going to be awesome. I mean, if it's anything like the first Avengers movie from 3 years ago, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be freaking awesome. I mean, they got Joss Whedon back to direct it, and I think he wrote it. That's almost all I needed to hear. I mean, he still has to deliver on it, but that's a huge promise, and it's a huge promise that this is going to be good. I have no doubt that I'm going to love this movie. But, I got to see it, and and I have a few more thoughts on that, but I figure, while I'm here, and while I haven't been on camera in like 2 months, well, that's not entirely true. I've actually done a little bit of filming, and you'll see it once I get everything edited together. It's just been kind of crazy, and so I'll touch on that real quick. I haven't really put anything up in the last couple of months because it's just been crazy busy. I know I've mentioned this to you guys that I do this insane run, 600 miles a day. Takes about 5 hours up, maybe a little bit more, 5 hours back, including the drop and hook procedure I got to do up there, plus the post-trip, pre-trip, and just driving to and from work. I basically wake up at 4 a.m., I'm out the door at 4:30, and I don't walk back in the door until sometime between 5 and 6. So on a good day with no weather and no traffic, I have, like about 3 hours in the evening, which isn't a whole lot to do anything, You get back from work, you want to unwind, so you're going to watch something. MLP, Clone Wars, Blacklist, Castle, whatever. You want to watch 1 or 2 episodes of something, plus dinner, shower, get ready for tomorrow, clothes, lunch, whatever. So I've never had a whole lot of time in the evening for the last, really, 7 to 8 months since I started this run. And on that note, and with that in mind, I brought it up to my people at work. And while I'm eternally grateful, I am so very grateful. I'm in a much better position than a lot of people right now. That I've got a job, a steady job, and one that pays me pretty well. So I'm not ungrateful for the job, but at the same time, I want a little bit more free time because right now trucking has been my life for the last year and a half, and not necessarily because I wanted it to be. It's just kind of how the chips fell. But anyway, I'm rambling. Bottom line is this. I brought it up to my people at work, and they saw, they understood where I was coming from, and they said, all right, give us a little bit of time. And I just got the heads up that this coming Friday, not today, but next Friday, will be my last day doing this long run. I'll be doing a little bit more local stuff. So that'll afford me some more free time in the evening, which it's been really killing me. But now, I should have that, and I can get back to doing the reviews and Life with Ponies and stuff, and I can get back on track. I've been neglecting this channel far too long, and not by choice. But that's enough about that. Bottom line is, I'm about to get on a more normal schedule with a bit more free time in the evening, so I can get more done. So expect to see more stuff. In fact, the next video you see, expect to see the X-Men 3 review, which it was requested back in November 2013. I started work on it this past October, and then they put me on this run, and so it's been in limbo for the last 7 to 8 months. But I got halfway through it. It's coming. That'll be the very next video I post, followed by more of those and Life with Ponies. On another note, I'm also working on a side project. I'm going to be going to Otakon again this year, and I'm going to be working on an anime fan parody. I've done 3 of them so far for Otakon, and they've all, more or less, I would say, based on the uproarious laughter I hear when I sit in the audience when they play on the Friday night fan parody block, people seem to enjoy them. So it's been a while since I made one, and I'm going to make another one. Deadline is in mid-June, so I'm going to be working on that. And you know what? If you want, I'll post my other 3 parodies soon. If you don't know what a fan parody is, in essence, I take footage from anime series, kind of like I just take audio from the My Little Pony series, but I watch an entire series, I edit it down and rewrite a script, and then I dub it with my voices and my friends and everything, and we make it something completely different and something hopefully extremely hilarious. So I'll post the 3 that I've made, and I'll post the new one once that is done, or I should say no. You know what? I'll post it after Otakon. And yeah, so you know what? Enough rambling. Enough of the update. All right, because I gotta get going. Yeah, I gotta get going soon. So my thoughts going into Age of Ultron is, like I said, I'm really stoked. I'm really excited. It's gonna be awesome. I think it's gonna be awesome. However, well, no. Before I say however, it's gonna be awesome because it's got all the original actors from, it's got all the actors, save Ed Norton from the Avengers series, and it's got James Spader as Ultron. Now, I like Blacklist. Blacklist is great because of him. If James Spader wasn't in Blacklist as the character of Red, it would be really boring and really generic. But he's an example of an actor that makes it. If it wasn't him, I mean, kind of like if it wasn't RDJ as Tony Stark, it wouldn't work. I think at this point, if it wasn't Chris Hemsworth as Thor, I don't think it would work. The others, Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, it wouldn't work. RDJ as Tony Stark, it wouldn't work. This series, Blacklist, if not for James Spader, wouldn't work. So, to say I'm a big fan of him is also an understatement. So, the fact that he's playing Ultron, I'm like, that's going to be awesome. Assuming that he's going to bring the character that he had, basically, if he brings what he does bring to Blacklist, this is going to be great. I might even root for him. No, maybe not. He's going to destroy the world. Anyway, my brain just did like a million things at once. So, I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to see what James Spader brings to this movie. In addition to that, though, however is that based on the trailer, and you can actually tell how a movie's going to be most times. In fact, it's very rare that just based on the trailer, what this movie is going to give to you. Like, is there a story there? Is there action? Is it going to be a good movie? You can sometimes gauge the trailer. You can sometimes gauge the movie on the trailer. Now, this trailer, unless I'm mistaken, it seems like same shit, different day for the Avengers. Well, you know what? I'll explain it later, because I kind of got to go now. And, yeah, I'll explain it later. Hopefully I'm wrong. Well, no. If I'm right, maybe they're going to put a new spin on it. Don't know what I'm talking about? I'll tell you in a little bit, but I got to go. Alright, I'm seeing Age of Ultron. See you guys in a little bit. Oh my god. Oh my god. I was thinking about doing this tomorrow, but screw it, no. Yeah. Speechless, that's what I am. Okay. I'm coming off my adrenaline rush now. It was awesome! Did you ever have a doubt? Did you have a doubt that it was going to be anything other than that? Oh man, this movie was... Stop the review! Go see the movie! Have a great time, come back, high-five me through the camera, no, bro-hoof me through the camera, high-five me, and then come back to the review. I mean, I should go see it again. No. I got to review it right to film. All right, take this off. All right, first things first. I liked it. FilmCrazyAdam approves this movie. Second thing. Did I say this? No. This might take a second, putting my thoughts in order. I will go on record and say this is a fantastically action-packed movie. This movie was... There was a lot to this movie. Many different layers. Tons of different layers. And so... Like, this was a clusterfuck, is what this was. In many ways, this was just one big... of just... Okay. This movie had literally everyone. Everyone who's been a sidekick... Well, I guess not everyone. But... These are the characters that weren't in the movie. Agent Phillips? Agent. Thor's groupies. His posse. Loki. Natalie Portman. And Gwyneth Paltrow. I think that's basically it. Just those people, and Odin, I guess. You know, the people who were from the Thor universe, and yeah, except for that scientist who was also in Avengers 1. So basically, nobody from the Thor universe, and Gwyneth Paltrow. Those are and Agent Phillips. Those are the only people that weren't in this movie. Falcon was in this movie. And then I guess Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay. Wow, you're an idiot, Adam. You didn't think this through. But no, I just got back home. Of course I didn't. Anyway. So, there were a lot of people in this movie. I mean, there were a lot of people in this movie from the other movies. It wasn't just the Avengers. It also had Falcon. And War Machine. And there's a lot of stuff in this movie that I know I didn't get. The theater was, I mean, it was going to be packed. It had to be. There's rules here. It was packed, wall-to-wall people. And so me and my group of friends, I went with a bunch of people. In the end, they actually sat down near the front. So, like, they're sitting like this the entire time. I actually found, like, one empty seat in the middle, which I was able to snag. But so there was a lot of stuff that I got because I've seen all the other movies in the MCU. But there's also a lot of stuff that I didn't get that I know had I been down there with my friends, they would have explained it to me. For example, and I'm not... At the end of the movie, there is a group of heroes assembled in the final scene. And I didn't even... This is how naive I am with comics. I like comics, but in my entire life, I've read like 5. And I own like 2, I think. But somewhere. Not including graphic novels and omnibus and collections. But the people at the end... I didn't know there were 2 groups of Avengers. I knew there was... I knew the lineup keeps changing in the Marvel Universe. I didn't know that there were 2 separate groups of Avengers. And evidently, the people assembled at the end, that's the West Coast Avengers. Despite the fact that their facility is in upstate New York. And I probably pass it every day. I don't know how that works, but evidently that's the West Coast Avengers. It was interesting in this movie how they were able to... There was so much about this movie that I think in the end, I'm going to go see this again. I mean, guaranteed I'm going to go see this again. And maybe because there was so much in this movie, and, you know, it never gives you a minute to rest. Like, Joss Whedon is usually pretty good about that. He doesn't try to overwhelm you, but he's not trying to overwhelm you the way, like, J.J. Abrams does. Like, J.J. Abrams is a dick when it comes to his filmmaking. And I'm probably going to be going all on about Star Wars when that comes out, but Joss Whedon... He doesn't let it stop. He doesn't let the action stop or the funny or the dialogue. There's, like, no lulls in his work. And if they are, they're, like, very, very small. They're only, like, a minute. Nothing slows down. Nothing lulls. There's always something in motion. And I think it's, like, in a couple days, I might have my thoughts more in order. Or maybe I need to see it another 10 times before I really... I'm like, oh, okay, I got it now. But a lot happens in this movie, so it's hard to keep track of everything. One of the things, however, I think there was more of a clusterfuck in this movie than the first Avengers movie. I think the first one was a little bit more easier to keep track of. Now, I remember when that movie came out that a lot of people complained that there were huge, glaring plot holes in that movie. Now, had you watched the previous 5 Avenger movies leading up to the first Avenger, they explain everything in those movies. And I actually admire that when filmmakers don't treat the cast like idiots. It's one thing if you don't know something. Like, in the first movie or the first episode or something, they explain stuff to you that later on is common sense. But when they keep explaining it to you, like every time you see them, what's that? Oh, this is a computer. What's a computer do? Or what's that? Oh, this is my GPS. Your GPS, what's that? You know, when they keep re-explaining things to you. And so that's one reason why the first Avengers movie and sequel movies are usually they flow a lot better, because they don't have to stop every 5 minutes and explain what that thing is. I remember, like, in the first Avenger movie, a lot of people just complained about the Tesseract. And they just bitched and moaned about, like, no one explains it's just a blue cube. They told you what the They told you in Captain America, the first Avenger, what the effing cube was. If you watch that, you know what it is. And they assume people who are serious and, like, serious fans are going to watch those 5 leading up to this one. So we don't have to explain it, because we know that you saw it. And if you didn't, well, you're an idiot. I get that, and I respect that. However, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't get in this movie. Now, like I said, I haven't read a ton of comics, but there are a certain number of things that I do know. Like, I do know who Vision is, so when he popped up, I was like, ha-ha, it's Vision! I also know from my friends that Hank Pym, maybe is his name? Again, I am not an expert on comics, but the first Ant-Man helped Tony Stark design and produce Ultron. So I thought maybe there was going to be, and Ant-Man's coming out in July, so I thought maybe there was going to be kind of a nod to that, or like a reference to that, setting up the Ant-Man movie. But unless I missed it, maybe I missed it. I'm not saying that I didn't miss it. But I was kind of hoping for kind of a really obvious nod, like, oh yeah, this scientist with this suit that shrinks him helped me design this project, which we are now doing in this movie. They didn't do that. So I'm curious how those are gonna, like, I don't know what Ant-Man is setting up. I mean, I know Ant-Man was an Avenger, at least he was in the cartoon. So I don't know where they're going with that. Also, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were in this. They credited them under those names in the credits, but they never actually referred to them other than by their human names in this movie. Now, I also know that Fox has the movie rights for X-Men, Daredevil, and Fantastic Four. Sony has the movie license for Spider-Man. And I don't know if any, I mean, at this point, I would think a lot of you are pretty much aware of the fact that before Marvel had Marvel Studios and they had the money to just produce their own movies, they had to license out the characters to different companies and different studios to make them into movies. X-Men, like I said, is owned by 20th Century Fox, and thus the name Wolverine, X-Men, and even the term mutants are owned by Fox. Marvel, even though they own the literary and the original source material, they cannot actually call them the X-Men or refer to, like, they can't refer to Daredevil or Spider-Man or anyone that hasn't already been established in the MCU until they get those rights. Now, I think we've all heard also that Marvel was in negotiations with Sony, and there's like, I do believe in 2017, I think there's supposed to be a third Spider-Man movie where they're introducing him, but they're introducing him into the MCU so that he can be in the Avengers 3, the Infinity Gauntlet, which I think they're breaking up into two movies in 2018 and 2019. I'm doing a lot of that. So, they never once referred to Quicksilver as Quicksilver or Scarlet Witch as Scarlet Witch, and they never referred to them as mutants because they can't. So I think Marvel is just calling them the Inhumans now, and I don't know where they're going with that. So that's another thing. But what I was I did talk about this before. All right, the thing that I talked about before but didn't explain is this is the Avengers, same shit, different day. I was not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed in that regard. That in the first Avengers movie, you had these people assemble, and there was a big bad guy named Loki who wanted to take over the world. He wanted to take over the world by enslaving everybody, and he was going to do that with an invading army. And so the Avengers fought. I can't speak English today. I aren't gooder at this. So the Avengers fought an army and then beat the bad guy. In this movie, there's a big bad guy who wants to take over the world by killing everybody on it and just restarting. Start from scratch. But he's taking over the world with an army. So the Avengers assemble, defeat the army, defeat the big bad guy. Same shit, different day. Now, they did do it differently. It wasn't the It was the exact same thing. Somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong, or somebody's going to tell me it's completely different, even though it's the exact same, it's different, because I don't know, because they were robots instead of aliens, or because it was an enemy that Tony helped construct instead of a different person altogether, or this guy wanted to destroy the world instead of just enslave it. But it was the same shit, different day, people. This movie was that movie. I like them separately. I mean, I like them. It's a very classic story, and the way they told it, there are variances between the two movies, but it's basically the same movie. I enjoyed them both. I like the first one a little bit more, I think. Like I said, I might watch this Avengers 2 a couple more times, and I'm going to be like, nope, this one's way better! But I'm not going to kid myself. I mean, they were both... I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're bad at all. I'm not saying this makes these movies any less of a great movie and just fantastic, and you should go see them and go support this movie and buy the Blu-ray. I'm not saying that at all, because I'm going to do all those things. I'm just saying that it's the same movie. It's the same shit, different day. And that was a little bit of a disappointment. Was that... Now, someone points to me and say, well, what would you have done? That's... I can't think of what I would have done, because I haven't had the time to stop and actually really think about what storyline can I make for these 5 characters. But at the same time, that's what the Avengers do. This is their job, is to protect the world from the really crazy bad stuff out there. Like the insurmountable odds that one person can't defeat. So you have a team of people. So I get that. And like I said, that doesn't make this movie anything less. However, you're kind of pigeonholed because that's your job. It's kind of like a fireman. Like, you guys are awesome. You guys do I salute every single last one of you who follows the rules and does your job to the utmost of your ability and saves lives and just rescues people, whether they're doing something stupid or not. However, you're a fireman, or if you want to be politically correct, a fire person. Don't be politically correct. That's obnoxious. But that's what you do. It's like, we fight fires. We have a truck. We have hoses. We have stuff that won't burn. We have gas masks. We have axes. We have fire extinguishers. We got a dog with spots all over it. That's what we do, and we're really good at it. But that's kind of all we do. I think they also make some pretty good chili. But Again, I'm not discrediting any of them. I'm just saying, I'm just kind of coming out and saying it's the same shit, different day. And that's what they do. Like, if you're going to go see an Avengers movie, it's going to be some kind of army versus these 6 guys. And that's cool. I love those. And it's a very classic story. It's, the underdogs versus the overwhelming odds. And you want the underdogs to win, especially in the name of truth, justice, saving lives, the American spirit. So, I guess, there I have it. What did you expect? Well, maybe I'm jaded, maybe I've watched a lot of movies, and, so I kind of saw it coming a mile away. That's what you're going to see. If you liked, bottom line, I guess, is what I'm saying is this. If you like the first Avengers movie, you'll love this movie. This movie is very much slight variances, different villain, different army, different circumstances. In the end of this movie, there was... Alright, I do like the first one better at this point because this is what they kept doing at the end of this movie. They kept just reaching up there and just pulling stuff out of their ass. One thing after another. Just, oh, wait a second. There's more vibranium. And wait, Ultron, in a night or two, somehow with these metric tons of, metrics upon metric tons of vibranium, we're told that all the vibranium in the world is just in this one little shield. No, evidently there's tons of metric tons that Gollum found. I'm not kidding about that either. That Gollum found and is storing somewhere else on Earth. And he built like an engine. I don't know why it had to be vibranium. Partially because it didn't seem too indestructible when Ultron uses it, but he makes this in the middle of Europe, or like Eastern Europe, or in Europe somewhere. He makes an engine with vibranium that separates and hovers half of a city, probably like, 10 cubic miles of Earth to raise it up. Ultron's idea to reset the world is to make a cataclysmic planet-ending event. Kind of like the asteroid or the meteorite that killed the dinosaurs. Ultron has devised and designed this engine out of vibranium, which cuts a huge chunk out of the Earth. Like I said, about 10 metric miles, or 10 cubic miles of Earth, rises it up, and then is going to cut the engine. It's just going to smash into the Earth with like metric tons of force, and then create a cataclysmic event that will kill all life on Earth. And of course, he's a robot, so he doesn't care. And so he's just going to restart as his army of robots, and they're going to create, I don't know. But yeah, Ultron's plan is, I'm going to kill all life on the Earth so that I can be king of it. I'll be king of this moon, essentially. So I was a little fuzzy on that, and maybe I missed something. I think there's a lot of stuff that kind of went over my head in this movie because I'm not a huge Marvel fan. I know for a fact there's tons of stuff that I didn't understand because I'm not so into the comics as my friends are. But I understood the movie enough based off of all the other ones I've seen to understand, the flow and the story of the movie. There's just the little subtle things, kind of like how I can go through Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness and point out all these things that a lot of people weren't aware of, but I know them because I'm a huge Star Trek geek as well. So I didn't understand what Ultron was doing about that. I don't know how he built this fucking engine, how the engine worked. He did it in like a weekend. Evidently... And Nick Fury is still just walking around. For a guy who's dead, he's not trying all that hard to hide the fact. I mean, I don't know if he was ever trying to hide the fact, other than in Captain America 2, where he was trying to fake his death until the end of the movie, or lead on to Hydra that he was dead. I don't know. For a dead guy, he's not trying to propagate that lie all that much. Also, he just happens to have a flying fortress, one of those hover aircraft carriers, And in addition to that, just happens to have all these personnel characters so that they can evacuate this city. And, oh man, I like what they did. And so that was at the end of this movie. Now, because it's a comic book movie, specifically a Marvel comic book movie, and they've built up to it, I did do like, aw, what? I did do some of that in the movie, but because it's Marvel and they have magic in addition to science, I can roll with it a little bit more. You know, that's something that you can go, all right, it's a comic book movie. They've established that there are gods and that there are magic. You know, Benedict Cumberbatch is going to play Doctor Strange, I think, if not next year, the year after. So, magic. I still kind of go, wait a second. Like, even with an army of robots, I find it a little hard to swallow that Ultron was able to design this. But at the same time, I'm more willing to roll with it. I'm like, he did have an army of tireless robots. So I guess, I guess I can kind of roll with that. Nick Fury is Nick Fury, and these hover aircraft carriers have cloaking devices, essentially. Maybe there was one we had that wasn't dismantled or put into a museum. All right. But it was just like one hit after another. It's like, and this, and this, and this, and this. You know, it was, you get a car, and you get a car. Everybody gets a car. Oh, man. So, this movie was a little bit more outlandish, though it was definitely in the same vein. It was definitely the same kind of movie. It was not bad at all. A little bit more stretching, but it was still great, and I could still reason them out. I can still reason them out and be like, all right, I see what you did there. All of it leading to, I almost think that, like, you know what? I doubt that I'm going to do this, but if I do a follow-up review to this review, don't be surprised, because when I go see it again, I might come back and be like, all right, I just figured out some new things. But at the moment, it was just a lot to take in. It was great to see all those faces again, and again, to show that I'm not completely naive on the comics. I do know that I think it was in the 1980s. Thor's hammer was lifted by Captain America because he was worthy. Captain America, the All-American Boy Scout, has a heart of gold for the most part. He's got a heart of gold, basically. He is doing his best. He has the truth, justice, American dream ideal. So, like, he doesn't really have a hidden agenda. Whereas Tony, even Thor, even though Thor's, I guess Thor, he doesn't have a hidden agenda. He's here to protect people. And if he doesn't want to, he'll just go back to Asgard. It's like, whatever. So he doesn't have any hidden agenda to take over the world. He doesn't have, Tony does. Hulk is just angry. Bottom line is this, is that I know in the 1980s that Captain America lifted Thor's hammer. There's this scene early on in the movie where Thor is just like, yeah, go for it. And everybody around, Tony tries, Banner, no, he doesn't, well, whatever. Tony tries, like, everyone around the table tries, Warhammer tries, Tony and Warhammer together try, Captain America tries, and I was like, are they going to do it? And I think it budges, like, ever so slightly. And, like, Thor's just sitting there. He's, like, sitting against the couch. He's like, and he's, like, silently just laughing like these losers trying to lift my hammer. They're not worthy. And then it, like, moves ever so slightly with Captain America. And, like, he suddenly looks scared. Like, what the hell? Like, what the? Did that just move? So that was funny. I don't want to go into any spoilers what happens at the end, though. I will say that they set up Hawkeye's character really well. You know what? I am going into spoilers. If you don't want me to spoil one of the endings of the movie, then, I've given my approval of this review. I've given my thumbs up. Go check it out. If you saw the first one, you'll love this one. Now I'm going to go into spoilers about what happens at the end. Now, there were rumors that an Avenger dies in this movie, and the popular fan favorite going in was Hawkeye. And so I kind of had that in mind going into this movie. Now they kind of set it up like a few people could die, but they did this one really. Oh, you played your cards really well, Joss Whedon. You set it up really well, and I was like, and I noticed it during the movie. First, Hawkeye's like, I don't, he gets injured at the beginning of the movie, and he says to the nurse, it's like, a scar to tell your girlfriend. He's like, I don't have a girlfriend. And then later he's on the phone, he's like, who's that? That was my girlfriend. It's like, what? And then they needed a safe house, so they go to his house, where he has a pregnant wife and 2 kids. Very unexpected that this hero has this life and this family, and to them, he's just daddy. And it's a farm. He chops his own wood. He's working on his deck while they're staying there on his way out. And so they set up this family, this pregnant wife. Not just a wife, a pregnant wife. The only thing that would have made it better is if she was like sick with cancer or something. And the 2 children that, Daddy! And he's talking about, and he's like, all right, I just got this one last thing to do, basically, honey, and then I'll be back. And he gets in the plane or whatever and flies away. And as he's talking, you know what I'm gonna do when I get back? I'm gonna redecorate the dining room. I'm gonna knock down that wall. I'm gonna tear up the carpet, put down some hardwood, maybe add an island or maybe add a window in that wall. Maybe I won't knock down the wall. I'll just add that window so you can talk to people while you're cooking dinner. Yeah, that's what I'll do. It was almost every cliche. The guy who is 2 weeks from retirement, and they just laid it on. And then during the climax of the movie, the end with the floating city, and they're trying to evacuate everyone from the city before they destroy the city, because we can't let this thing fall back to Earth in one piece. If it falls back in one piece, it'd be like dropping a bowling ball, as opposed to. And this is something that a lot of people were scuttlebutting about as we were leaving the theater. Is like, I don't get why the Earth didn't get destroyed. Well, let's put it this way: you have a 50-pound bowling ball, or you have a 50-pound bag of sand. Now, weight-wise, they're the exact same weight. However, this is a bowling ball, this is a bag of sand. Which one, I don't think you'd want either dropped on your foot, but which one, if you had to drop one on your foot, which one would you drop on your foot? Which one would cause less damage if you dropped it on your car? When you drop a bowling ball on pavement, it's going to leave a crack or a dent, or there's going to be a mark. You drop a 50-pound bag of sand. So, in the end, they save the world. They kick Ultron's ass. Vision is the man. And that's why the world didn't get destroyed. It's the same weight. It's the same amount of weight coming down, but because it's distributed in such smaller quantities, in such smaller pieces, it's not going to destroy the Earth. But, so, they're trying to evacuate this city off of this floating rock, off of this floating island, with these personnel carriers, and even in the back, I'm like, okay, good, he's on the boat. Now he's up. No, get back on the boat. Okay, he's on the boat. Oh, no, now he's going back off the boat. And Ultron is flying this ship with a Gatling gun, and he starts firing down. And there's Hawkeye holding a child right in the way. And they even do this scene where the look of, oh, crap, this is it. He turns and blocks. And I'm like, oh, come on! Don't set it up. I mean, I was like, don't be so obvious. You've done every single cliche leading up to it to be like, you know what would suck? If that guy died. Oh, he's dead. But in the end, they don't. Quicksilver takes, he takes, which I'm like, wait, how was he not fast enough? Okay, Quicksilver is so effing fast. If you've seen X-Men Days of Future Past, that scene where he's literally standing still while everyone is also standing still, but because he's moving so fast, it only seems like they're standing still. That's literally how he is. He runs so fast that he's almost out of time. He's almost out of phase with time. He moves so fast. during this movie, during Avengers 2, he's there's a speeding train that goes off the rails, and he literally outruns the train, but also gets people out of the way of the train. Like, half a dozen people, he's pulling out of the way of the train as it's moving. He's just that fast. He's dodging bullets. He's outrunning bullets. And yet, he's not fast enough to grab Hawkeye and this kid. Instead, he's just fast enough to get in front of these bullets. And it's not like one or two nicked him, like one in the 10 spot, and then like one right here in the chest. No, he has like a dozen shots. Like he's bullet ridden, and he's like, huh, didn't see that coming. Now I think they're just gonna do what I think he's gonna be back. You know, Marvel has a thing about like we can't actually kill our characters. You know, like with Elektra and who was the other one? Elektra and Agent Phillips. He might be dead, but in the next movie that we see him in, I'll be like, yeah, not a surprise. I'll be like, alright, he's back, he's not dead. I'm not going to be surprised one bit. I just remembered a funny line. Speaking of Ultron in that plane, you know what? I'm rambling at this point. Alright, I've told you what I thought about the movie. I've kind of gone a little bit more in depth. And I've gone into spoilers. I think, so far I like the structure of the first movie because it's a little bit more simpler. While this one is the same structure, there's not as many pieces and parts and players in the first one as there is in this one. However, I do love Ultron. The villains they've done a really good job in the Marvel Universe of making villains that you like. Like, you love to hate them, but you don't hate them. Like, you hate them because they do evil things, not because they're stereotypical. Like Loki, Tom Hiddleston is just fantastic. And James Spader as Ultron is just awesome. Those two were just really great. Like, they were despicable, and you loved them for it. They were just really good at what they did. And they're really good actors, and they really bring a great performance. So I like them both individually. And I like Avengers 1 and Avengers 2 individually. And so, again, like what I'm saying, if you like the first Avengers movie, you'll love this one. I think I've talked enough about that. I've rambled on a little bit. I need to get back in the practice of doing more reviews. Look forward to X-Men 3 for I Heard That Movie Sucks. Also, I'm going to be reviewing Jurassic World, Terminator, whatever... That Terminator Genesis, if for no other reason other than the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith is in that. And I'm going to see Ant-Man, so there will be a few more Once the Movie reviews coming out, along with I Heard That Movie Sucks, and of course Life with Ponies. I got to do part 2 of that. And I've got I got a ton of figures now. I got everything now, so I got to start pulling audio. At this point, I should just pull all audio from every episode, because I think they're going to eventually make everybody. Anyway, go see Avengers, Age of Ultron. It's a great movie. You'll love it. I'm FilmCrazyAdam, and I'll talk to you guys later.